What did I say? 14 points. Nothing will also warm my cold, bitter, crimson and cream heart than seeing Matt Campbell caught on the sidelines just whining, as well as all the entitled Iowa State fans booing as per tradition. I think it's just my own personal opinion on it, but ever since Matt Campbell went to Iowa State, man, have they brought a he has brought a very toxic culture to Iowa State because they get one inkling of success and they become one of the most obnoxious fan bases in college football. That all being said, I can put that aside because I was also close to the prediction of the score that I initially had of 34-17 with a W as we OU beats Iowa State 27-13. For Iowa State, they're on a 5-game skid at this point. Unlike OU, it's difficult for me to come up with 3 wins for them to reach a bowl game for the remainder of the season. This was a game that they could have won with OU being down, but again, with how everything is right now, with everybody they've lost, they could not muster a win because they cannot score in any ability at all. To Iowa State's credit, they made us earn every single yard and every single score. I don't feel like OU left any really a ton of points on the field, maybe 10 points at best, but they worked for every single yard and every single point. And to me, the momentum changed with that fake field goal at that point. If you remember the keys to my game, however, it really came down to which OU team was going to show up. And honestly, we got a little bit of both. I'm still at the point of how what is this team? Are we really bad and we just had success against an even worse team, or are we good and we had a lot of success in the trenches for it? I just don't know. It's either they're good or bad at this point. Besides that, I mean, you could look at the team top down that they were okay. The highlights really came down to Gray and SCHMIT had themselves a day. Dylan continues he had himself an okay day as well. He overthrew some players and tossed very wobbly balls, in my opinion. I still don't understand why they keep forcing him to make deep throws that he just cannot throw accurately. He is what he is. Again, reminder if y'all need any type of reminder of the past 3 games we had before. But regardless, he is what he is, and what you all saw, the result of what he is not on the field if he's not on the field. I'd rather have him on the field missing than not at all. Now, to be fair though, Mims completely had a very off day, which he took very hard. But at the same time, you have to contribute that to Dylan had some pretty bad balls himself from it. But Dylan's was not as bad as Mims. Let's get that out of the way from it. Other thoughts on this was the offensive line gave Dylan all day to throw, which also probably contributed to how well we were running it. Which, truth be told, I'm surprised at how well and efficient we were running the ball at will. I thought they were going to shut down the run game and force us to be one-dimensional and throw it. It turned out to be the other way around. We couldn't catch anything, but the running game actually succeeded in eating away. I mean, to Levy's credit, he had a great strategy of just keep them on the field and just grinding against the stone and just wearing Iowa State down and to strike while the iron was hot. Overall, though, we just ran the ball on them all game and plus missed a lot of throws on receiving. The strategy, again, like I said, seemed like was to keep wearing them down. I think I counted 4-minute double-digit plays and drives and then strike when they were just tired and they just did not see it coming. For the defensive side of the ball, we mentioned pregame that it was going to come down to OU's defense versus Iowa State's offense and who was going to break first. And to the defense's credit, they excelled since all they did was throw the ball. I read that their quarterback threw it well over 50 times. Of course, this also means that the run game was also really just non-existent, which they knew going in. OU also managed the fourth downs. Iowa State did play and did get 3 out of 5 of them. It is what it is, but they did manage it and they didn't get all 5. It did not give Iowa State enough confidence to keep going for it. For the most part, we contained Hutchinson. While he was the second leading receiver on Iowa State and the third best receiver overall, he was just not able to break away and get any TDs. That is a little bit to Iowa State's quarterbacks not through. That's not his thing. He does not throw the deep ball, but that was a big thing for us. And hey, honestly, we were incorrect, which was while he was not a starter, Billy Bowman even got some playing time out there. So hopefully that helps us out going into the final stretch of the season. But I would be beside myself if I didn't mention special teams, because that fake field goal was fantastic. The momentum you saw just changed and took the sails out of Iowa State's the wind out of Iowa State's sails after they knew that they were going to be playing catch up the entire game. Nobody saw that coming, and OU just made it look easy. They didn't help their cause when they had 3 turnovers as well as their inability to get first downs, but that definitely swung it to OU's favor. And as I mentioned, of the 14 points that I predicted, they won by 14 points. Finally, kudos to the team for keeping the penalties to a minimum. So the only other nitpicks I really have at this point is it will always baffle me that while we were doing so well with the run, we just go away from it inside like the 2-yard line and instead decide to toss it. I understand the logic behind it, and I understand that you're expecting the defense to load the box up and to keep them honest, and that you tossed it just for the easy TD. But that's also relying on a quarterback who can actually do that. I just feel like at times OCs just overthink and just get away from what is working. Levy, you gotta keep running the ball, man. At the end of the day, you just gotta keep running the ball. Also, I still don't understand how Dylan has all day to sit in the pocket, make himself a sandwich, play around a halo, and he still will overthrow his receivers. That I just do not understand. I don't know if the receivers are just missing their routes. Is he just chucking and praying? I just don't know. I will never understand that. But again, regardless, put everything aside. You're 5-3, and you're now 2-3 in conference play, trying to make a run to at least be in the upper echelon of the conference. You have Baylor, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and West Virginia left, not in that order. I think it is doable to get 7-5 at this point. But the biggest thing is you cannot let your guard down. Again, as I mentioned in pregame, that's how you get snake bitten. Cannot let your guard down for it if you're really wanting to at least at minimum go 7-5. The only other note I had was I'll be curious if Isaiah Coe plays against Baylor. As he mentioned, his like bone was sticking out on Twitter. It's like, bro, I'm really worried about you. What's going on? So we'll see what happens with Isaiah. And as I'm recording this, OSU just got blanked by Kansas State. It's not so funny when it happens to you, does it? Now, again, I'm being facetious, but I do need to check if they actually did cross the 50-yard line at any point against Kansas State. They got blistered. I'll be using it tomorrow on my live stream with Sean of the Spider-Man memes pointing at each other and calling each other out because we already have the apologists going. We only lost by 48. It doesn't matter. You got blanked. Versus a month ago, though, I am feeling a lot more confident against the last teams we have versus what I was in those 3-game skid, especially if they lose Sanders for Bedlam. There's no telling what Sanders' status is going to be, and I'm betting he'll be out against Kansas, and we won't know if he is out for the season until the following week at that point. It all depends on what's happening with his shoulder. Also, as I'm recording this, OU Baylor was just announced for ESPN Plus game, which if you're an old or you thought you were going to only use ESPN Plus once per season, joke's on you. Time to download it again. We get like a second pay-per-view game for the year. Finally, if you did not see it, the Big 12 also negotiated its new deal with Fox and ESPN. I'm curious how this will play into OU's role, as how much they are poised to make from it, as we are still in the conference until 2025. Just kind of like what the details of the deal is. So I think someone mentioned to me that this would not apply, as it would not go into effect until 2025. So I want to know more on that. So that's all I got, guys. Tonight we're going to be live streaming me and Sean on recapping the Iowa State game. So Boomer Sooner, only one. Remember to comment, rate, subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live and upload a video. See everybody tonight. Boomer Sooner.